for your word. We thank you for your purpose. We thank you for your everlasting love. We thank you for your joy. We ask that you will continue to grace us with your presence. We ask that you would take your spirit and lock it down inside of us. We ask that you would just continue to be with us throughout our everyday lives. And in your holy and righteous Son, Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Amen. You talking about, Ray? Y'all getting? No? I don't know why that ain't working.
Turn them down a little bit.
Is that enough? Yeah. Turn it down, right?
Turn it down.
Y'all see? All right. My opening verse is coming out of Matthew chapter 12, verses 48 through 50. Got that? Alright, we're going to read verses 48 through 50. But he answered and said unto him that told him, Who is my mother? Who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples and said, Behold, my mother and my brother. This morning we're going to talk about finding a family. So, throughout our lives, a lot of us can either try to look for a family, or we might be still currently trying to find some family. So we taught that it's a saying that blood is thicker than water. And if you got any family members, it's easy to understand that. They tell you blood is thicker than water. They tell you your mama, your daddy, mama, papa, brother, sister, aunties, uncles, those are your family. And they tell you once again that blood is thicker than water. So sometimes we might grow up missing one of these aspects of what we call family. Some people might not have a daddy. Some people miss their mama. Some people lost their brother or sister. Some people might not have had it. But some of us end up sometimes not having one of them factors in our life. So sometimes what it calls you to do is go searching for it. And for the longest time, I felt like I was alone because I ain't got no brothers or no sisters. So whenever we'd be outside, I see somebody in the driveway playing basketball with their little brother or big brother, and I wanted that. I see somebody walking down the street holding their little sister's hand, taking it to the candy lady. I don't know if they got them no more, but where I come from, we got Dixie Cup lady, candy lady. So people will hold their little sister's hand or carry it down the street and take her to the candy lady. And that's something I wanted. And that's something I felt like, man, I'm alone in this world. I ain't got no family. And so I got to looking in strange places, and it caused me to make bad decisions and call people who didn't mean me no well my family. So I would get around people who would sometimes try to embarrass me. Anybody who try to embarrass you is not your family. I get around people who would try to make me do stuff like breaking the law that could get me in trouble and have them free as a bird. So people that try to make you do that are not your family. So around the age of 17, I had got a car. And I started to notice that as long as I was giving people rides to where they wanted to go, it was all fine and dandy. I mean, I had people coming out the woodwork, man, that's my partner, that's my homeboy. But then whenever I got to the point to where my daddy started telling me, he said, look here, I ain't raised you like that. Don't be riding no hard legs in your car. And if anybody got a daddy that know what I'm talking about, he tell you, don't have no hard legs in the car with you, just soft legs. You can ride one of your homeboys, but you can ride as many girls as you want. Because whenever you get mixed up with them dudes, they're going to cause trouble. And I didn't really understand it back then until it came to a couple situations, and these are true stories. It came to a couple situations where some people almost had to naturally kill them when I fight them, because sometimes I get them rise and they'll drop their sacks of weed off up in my car. Little nickel bags back then. But at that point in time, up in the early 2000s, that could get you in jail. So had I not listened to the information that my real family gave me, who was my daddy, I probably would have been sitting in jail till this day trying to find family and be cool. So, but God give us a broad definition of what family is. Turn with me to Proverbs 17 and 17. Right. Them four on the side, turn them down a little bit. Before I turn you to turn up, turn them down a little bit. Alright. Proverbs 17 and 17, we there? Got it? Alright. It says, a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born from adversity. So it is telling us that sometimes your brother or your sister or your family member not going to come from the same house as you. And they tell you that a brother is born from adversity. So what's adversity? Adversity is somebody who's going to stand up in the gap with you no matter what. No matter what the world say about you, even if you're wrong, that person going to still have your back. And that's rarely hard to find. I done heard old folks tell me buku times that if you got two good friends, you're doing good. Because most of the time you only promise one. Like whenever the world turn their back on you, it's only going to be maybe one person that's staying with you, not including your mama or your daddy. It's going to be hard to find a friend outside of that circle who's going to stand with you no matter what. But God will put that person up in your life. A prime example, 1 Samuel chapter 18 tells us about a shepherd boy who was best friends with a prince. That was Jonathan and David. Saul was jealous of David because of all the stuff God was doing up in David's life. But David was a shepherd boy. So technically he had no reason being friends with a prince. The prince got everything, but for some reason they got gel tight and clicked together. Now this is something different, because how many of us can say that we was actually friends with somebody our daddy will tell us not to be friends with? And just about everybody he told me don't be cool with, either locked up or in jail. I mean locked up or dead, because I got some partners who didn't even make it to see 19. So being this, but he went against his father for the right reasons. And so with this going on, he know his father was trying to kill David. He know David didn't have nothing to offer him, and that's another thing. Sometimes people not going to want to be friends with you if they ain't got nothing to gain. The prince had nothing to gain with being friends with a shepherd boy. He didn't have more money than him. He didn't have more clothes than him. The only thing that he could get from him was a real legitimate friendship. Somebody who he could call his brother. And we got a couple more examples of Ruth and Naomi. Ruth married one of Naomi's sons, and something happened and the dude died off. Now this here to me is true family. The woman couldn't give her nothing. This woman was old. And Naomi told Ruth, look, you trying to stay, but even if I could conceive and have a son, you gonna stay around for him to get old enough for you to marry him? She kept telling Ruth, just leave, go on about your business. Ruth said, no, I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna stay right here with you. Now that's family. That's standing up in adversity. When you're gonna stand with somebody, even though there's no benefit of staying with them. But this is a message to some women too. Later on, Ruth was working up in the field, and a man noticed her. And the man was wealthy, and he had everything, and he treated her good. But this is the message inside of that. He saw Ruth working. You know what that means? He saw how that with no makeup on, her hair wasn't done, her fingernails dirty, her feet was black from walking up in the dirt, her hands was probably all busted up, and he asked people, he said, who is that? So this will go to show y'all, you ain't got to do all that extra stuff. God will send you the man. Think about it. He didn't see her up in the mall. He didn't see her made up. He didn't meet her at a party. Ruth was in the field working. What was the benefit of him going to get a woman out the field? So God will give you whatever you need. You just got to stick with it, even if it seems like there's no benefit to it. Another example we got is Elijah and Elisha. I relate to this story so much because Elijah walked up to Elisha and threw the cloth over his shoulder and told him, think about what I'm doing to you. Kind of remind me what Pops had done to me. He kind of gave me a choice, but he kind of didn't. He said, you're going to preach. It's just whenever you're ready to do it. Just think about it. So it's kind of, it's like a yes or no, but it's really a yes. It's like a hard yes anywhere it go. So he just threw the cloth over his shoulder and walked off. That's the same thing he did to me. Come on, let's go, let's do it. So in this instance, if you read up in their story, Elijah told Elisha to stay with the servants up in a certain town. But Elisha said, I ain't staying nowhere. I'm coming with you. I know who God put the power in. And so later on, because he stayed with him, he got to get a double portion of what he had, and he got to see him taken up in the heaven. Now, I don't know if y'all ever witnessed that, but I wish I could have been there to see God take a man up in the heaven. I would have loved to see that. That means he didn't witness no death. He didn't have no heart attack. It didn't say he took him up and his bones or his body fell. It just said he took him up and he ceased to exist. He took him up and then he took his staff or whatever like that. So you just got to know what your family is and stick with people even though it seems like it ain't got no benefit. And so another example we got is whenever Job, we know what Job went through, but Job was so low to where he was outside sitting on the ground. He got bumps all over him, his body tore up, his family dead, and his wife told him to curse God and die, but he wouldn't. So whenever he was sitting on the ground, they had people who came and sat with him for a little while. Now how many of us know some people that if you sitting on the ground that low up in life, they gonna come and sit with you? Most people just gonna walk past you. I ain't dirtying my pants up, I ain't sitting with them, they bleeding. But Job had some people who was really his family, brothers from adversity who sat with him at his lowest point when they didn't have nothing to gain. And in the end, we know Job had got it all back. So y'all start to see how your brothers and your family come from adversity. All right. So turn with me to Ephesians 4:25. I got two of them. I'm going to read Zechariah 8:16 and then read Ephesians 4:25. So Zechariah 8:16 said, these are the things that ye shall do. Speak ye every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates. And Ephesians 4:25 say, wherefore putting away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. So what God gave me with this is your family gonna tell you the truth whether you like it or not. Amen. My mama live. My cousins used to stay next door to us, and so on Saturday morning sometimes I'd be there by myself because at this point my dad and mama had passed, and his daddy ain't the type to babysit. He old school, you know what I'm saying? So I'll be over there with her, and my cousins will be playing the game or something, and it's four of them, and I'll be want to go and play the game with them. So what they do is they had a fence, and I had to stand on the fence and talk to them through the window. So my mama Lil seen that. She said, boy, you ain't no hog, you ain't no thief, and you ain't no animal. What you talking to them through a window for? She said, you got good nerves standing there, and they going to treat you like that. She said, you don't need nobody to play with that bad. If you want company, you come over here. I'll try to play cards with you. Now, at the point in time when she told me that, I didn't really understand what she was saying. But as I got older, I started to see. She said that anybody that don't want to be bothered with you, you don't have to be bothered with them. I thought because we was cousins that I had to try to make an attempt to play with them, that I had to do that. And guess what? Later on in life, they ended up trying to follow me around. Nope, we ain't doing that. It was me being petty, but later on in life, they kept on, as we got older and I got into sports, and when you play sports, you get a little popular, they tried to follow me around and stuff like that. But my grandma taught me a valuable lesson. If somebody don't want to be bothered with you, don't be bothered with it. Another story I got is my mama. This one that was me and Rose first started dating. We was at the house, and she got mad about something, and so she left out. And so most of the time, my mama don't stomp hard through the house unless she get mad. So Rose left, and she was gone. I hear my mama stomping through the house. I said, "Uh-oh, Red about to get on somebody." I thought she was going to fuss with my daddy. That woman come back there and bust through the door. Whoo! I said, "Man, what's going on here? You good and stupid. You let that girl run away from here, you ain't gonna find no other girl like that." First of all, stupid hit me. I grabbed my chest and went, "Shakespeare, oh mother of mine, thine hath stabbed me in thine heart, please. The crescent of thy love has cut me deep." But she told me, she said, "Boy, you good and stupid, you let that girl get away from here. As good as that girl is and respectable and how she carry herself." And so I'm sitting there like, you're supposed to be on my side. But she loved me so much. She's so much of a family that she told me the truth. And she didn't care how I took it. And after she called me stupid and dumb with the meaning of a donkey a couple times, I shrunk down and called her back and came by the house and said, I'm sorry. I can't go against my mama. But because of how she is and with her being real family, she kept it real with me. And another testimony I got that was real close to me, because I never got to tell my power and thank you for this. When I was 17, one of my cousins was graduating from high school, and they had a party in their neighborhood. It's basically a neighborhood that's full of family. It's a one-way street. So we was back there, and my older cousin was drinking gin. Well, at that point in time, I wasn't really too seasoned on gin, but apparently they knew. So, I'm playing football. I think I'm tough. I work out, and I ain't eat nothing. So these dudes got Route 44 cups. Now, these grown men, 23, 24. I said, "Man, fix me some of that." You know what they tell me? "Man, you ain't no woman. Fix your own drink." So I get there and put a Route 44 cup. And if it's this much, it was this much gin right here and that much Sprite. And so as I drank it, people was telling me that they came up and talked to me, and I was doing like this, leaning against the car. And so I started throwing up and everything. And so I had my little cousin with me, so he drove my car back to his house. And so for some strange reason, I'm in the seat passed out trying to level my head out because the world's going like this. And my mom and daddy pull up. And who hopped in the car first but Red? I said, "Uh-oh, here we go." She said, "You been drinking?" I lied. No, I haven't been drinking." "Then what's wrong with you?" "Man, I just don't feel good. I think I ate something bad and throwing up all out the car." She said, "All right, come on home." And so I found out later on, because my daddy told me that my Power Ranger saw how bad off I was, and he called him and told him, he said, "Man, look, I ain't trying to get him in trouble, but I ain't trying to see my godchild kill himself or go to jail." And whenever he told me, I was like, "Man, he ratted." But then something came across my mind, like, he saved your life. And I never took the time to tell him thank you for that, because that man saved my life. Think about if I had got behind the wheel of that car, because from where my cousin's house at to where my mom's house at is, how many miles you think, Doc? About a good 5, 6, something like that. So I had to get on the open highway at night. Can't even stay woke. Can't even keep my head up throwing up. I could have killed myself or somebody else. So he was real family, even though I felt like he got me in trouble. I understand now he was real family because he protected me. Imagine if he wouldn't have called. I probably wouldn't be talking to y'all till this day. So what I'm trying to make inside of this is, even if you feel like somebody told on you up in a situation like that, they was trying to help you. They really, whenever people tell you leave this alone, leave that alone. It's not them always trying to hate on you or hold you down. sometimes people are really trying to help you. But I'm telling y'all, I wish till this day I could tell that man thank you. I really do, all right? And one more example I got is y'all remember the man who was paralyzed by the water for like 30 years, and then the angels would come down and trouble the water, and people would get healed. I'm like, that couldn't have been me, sitting down there by the water all that time. My dad would have told me, boy, you don't roll your big behind up in that water and come on up out of there. But the man was sitting there the whole time, like, if he paralyzed and the water right there, man rolled to it. But he was sitting there so long, waiting for somebody to help him that nobody was family enough to tell him. Man, roll by that water next time, sit there, and when the angel troubled it, get up in there and come up and rise. But what people did, people just let him sit there and wallow up in their sorrow. Real family not going to let you do that. Real family going to see that you hurt, but they ain't going to let you stay hurt. They're going to say, look, I know it hurt, but you got to keep pushing. Life's not going to stop spinning because you hurt. I understand you hurt. We're going to get through this, but you got to keep going. You got to live life. And a lot of times the people that get bogged down the most got people depending on them. Especially when you're a parent or a grandparent and you're the root of the family. It be so much on people. And people just need somebody to keep them going. But God will put you around that real family. God will give you them real people. But you can't get mad with them. You got to listen to them. Because sometimes they got your best interest at heart. And so, get my last verse. I know y'all sleeping. Miss Stacy, they got dirty rice about that? They got chicken? Oh, let me hurry up. 1 John 4:20. If a man say, I love God, and hated his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he has seen, how can he love God whom he has not seen? So, this is telling us something real tough right now. We can't claim that we love God and hate somebody who we see every day, because that's being a hypocrite. And as far as family, I know your uncle gets drunk and talk over his mouth, and sometimes you and your cousins got to drag him out the party, but you got to love him. I know you got a cousin who think because she got a little more square footage on her house that she better than you still got to love her. I know you got an auntie that be in everybody else's business talking about y'all and thank God don't see her at the casino, at the gambling house, and drunk in somebody's bar trying to find a man. But you still got to love her. I know your brother gets on your nerves and you won't go upside his head with a 3/4 inch pipe, but you got to love him. I know your sister call you all the time, and when you having a good day, they always bringing bad news. But guess what? What we got to do? So, we learned today that in finding a family, and this was close to me, I learned that I found a family in my church home. Jesus told them, he said, whenever they was asking about his mom and them, he pointed at the people who was doing God's will. Are y'all doing God's will? So what we is? I found my family.